Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I think we'll get you out a little early today, but we've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Marketing technology, particularly omni-channel, it's been a real hot topic lately. There's a lot to talk about. What we wanted to do is take a step back and kind of predict what's the next step in life sciences for this. And we really think the next frontier for engagement is simplicity. Let's get the slides moving. So today we've got a couple folks here. I'm Bart Zoni. I am the head of marketing for Clinical Mind. If you don't know us, we're a family of companies. We offer a whole suite of solutions from medical communications, training. We just acquired a really cool publications company. And the team that you see here, Ashley and Lisa, are from CM Engage, which is the technology division. Technology division just launched a new cloud-based engagement platform called CM Go. But today, that's not what we're focused on. We're focused on some big questions in the space. Can technology really help us simplify the work of HCP engagement, or is it just making things harder and harder? And then really, if we can simplify, what does it take to make that happen? Now, I don't want to ruin the punchline, but the playbook for this goes beyond just clever software. It's a lot more about people and how people implement change that makes things work. I'm going to start with a question. We're not using the ARS system because, frankly, they're questions that I don't know if anyone has the answer for. But this is a great survey from Netscope. It's pretty recent, 2019, and it's the average marketing enterprises use how many cloud services. And if you've ever stopped a moment to actually look at how many services you use on a weekly or monthly basis, I think the number for this is going to be clear, and that's 120. So that's across all industries, not just healthcare, but as a marketing professional juggling 120 pieces of software, this is matching up with our experience, and it can get a little bit complicated. What you see here is what has been billed the most shared slide in the world, but it's from 2012. Actually, 2012 is when Clinical Mind opened our doors. And things were very different then. Now, this is not just healthcare. You're going to see stuff like MailChimp, Tableau, WebEx, Cvent. I'm sure a lot of you know that one, to name a few. But there's 800 total pieces of MarTech SaaS software available in 2012. So let's fast forward to 2020 and look at the most shared site in the world. This is currently the MarTech landscape that we're looking at. It's grown to over 8,000 solutions. There's over 1,200 data management solutions alone. And this explosion of complexity is something as an industry that we're facing too. Now, life sciences, for a lot of reasons, lags behind other industries, a lot of times in digital technology and engagement, but gosh, we're catching up really quick. And because of that, we're going to start seeing this level of complexity increase and increase. And in some ways, it's a welcome development because we can do so many more things, but in other ways, it may not be entirely welcome because that level of complexity can be very difficult to manage. So let's take a look specifically at maybe a good way to look at MarTech and life sciences. For a little bit of background, my personal story is that I recently headed up a marketing team for a mid-sized dermatology company. I know how this feels. We've got a national sales force, advisory board, speaker programs, digital engagement. Managing all of that is daunting. And things are really becoming more complex, and there's no turning back. The channels, the activity types, the ways that we're managing these things are expanding. And we could always debate what the right mix for that might be, but these channels aren't going away. The reality is we need technology to manage most of these effectively. Now, the way this has been manifesting itself over time is that we've been collecting these software systems that each manage a little slice of the pie. Or we go with a single company that has multiple solutions, but they don't always connect. And these things start to pile up. You've got web analytics, SEO automation, virtual advisory program, training platforms, event management, CRM. They're supposed to talk, but the reality is they don't always do so. Few of these systems connect in a meaningful way, and we have to consolidate the data between them. we want to create a smooth and consistent customer journey. That's very important. We need to manage relationships. And for compliance reporting, having these things talk is very important as well. So despite all of these systems, so much of our data is being managed on spreadsheets. And that's something clients come to us all the time. We've got these great systems, and I'm running 7 spreadsheets to keep it all together. And it really shouldn't be that way. To add one more level of complexity on top of this, the cherry on top is that different internal teams might take ownership or manage different parts of this digital ecosystem. To put it simply, the industry's relationship with technology is complicated. So let's take a look then from the world from a customer point of view. In the past decade, certainly the world has changed massively for healthcare professionals, the way they do their work. And in many ways, they face the same challenges of complexity that we do. It just has a different face. This has created a huge shift in what they expect and need from us. So I'm going to rewind to 2009. Did a really cool KOL survey back in 2009 about software. So if you can kind of put yourself in that mindset, you're listening to Lady Gaga, reading news about Sully Sullenberger, landing in the Hudson River, you got your tickets to Avatar, and we're asking KOLs, what of these things is the most important thing in software? Let's take a moment to think about, okay, what would a physician care about most at that time? The answer that we got, now these were immunologists, so we could probably expand that to KOLs from different areas. But access to relevant and emerging data and unique interactive experiences were 1 and 2. And the others, quite frankly, were pretty low on the list in terms of rank. But things have changed since 2009. I mean, right now, 70% of the HCPs out there are digital natives, which is a huge generational shift. They're using smartphones to interact with their customers. They use Google to obtain medical information, often at the point of care. Something I recently saw and was pretty shocked by, that half or a little more than half of doctors are sharing online videos and insights with peers just by text. And only before the pandemic, only around half saw a salesperson in person all year. Another study that I don't have on here that I thought was very interesting looked at TikTok videos that physicians were putting at, and they took a random sampling of 100 health-related TikTok videos from physicians that had 14 million unique impressions with $0 of advertising. I mean, if only we can get that kind of play. Physicians are embracing change so much faster than I think anybody had predicted at that time. So we fast forward, and last year I was able to ask a group of KOLs, this time it was dermatologists and plastic surgeons, but ask them the same question: rank those features in order of importance. And there was a change, and I think you can guess where this one's headed. Ease of use rose dramatically in what's important. And the feedback that we've been seeing is less, I want unique experiences, and more, I want information quickly, I want it fast, I want it familiar, I want it to be efficient. And that makes sense. You know, all the systems that physicians have to deal with in their daily life, I don't think they want more complications. So for our customers and for ourselves, we can kind of summarize it all by saying, look, program requirements of our jobs are increasingly complex. Internal teams and customers, though, increasingly value simplicity. And it's important to kind of balance those things out. So I'm going to end my section here by kind of asking the question, is simplicity the next frontier? We really believe that consolidation and this type of simplicity really is. Something needs to give. Here's a nice little self-assessment. You can take these questions, just kind of ask yourself these as a quick gut check. We do this type of thing with clients, and a lot of things come out of this. If you're finding that data is spread across multiple systems, you're running a lot of spreadsheets or have to create additional systems to manage your systems, team collaboration starts to become challenging, or just the idea of a new technology platform gives you the shivers, we kind of built our technology for you because we know that's the experience of a lot of folks, and it really shouldn't be that way. Implementing technology solutions really taught us an important lesson, and it's this. Software is easy. The technology and development part, That's the easy part, but collaboration and change are hard. Technology solutions are definitely not solutions if you can't solve for both. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to Ashley. Ashley is a member of our team from CM Engage. She's actually one of the architects of this new platform, CM Go. In the past 10 years, I can tell you 100%, there's not a client team we've met where technology wasn't a pain point, and that's why people call us. So let me send this along to Ashley, and I'll guide the slides for you there, Ashley.
Great. Thank you so much, Bart, for that lovely introduction. So as Bart said, yes, 100%. I've been in this business a long time, and I can say that in almost every sort of client situation, there hasn't been a team that we've met with that tech isn't a pain point in one way or another. And I like to say that's why people sort of call us. They call us up and they sort of try to explain where they are, where they want to go. And really, I feel like you can't solve most problems with only technology. Technology itself generally doesn't solve them. It really requires a human touch. And that's why we don't love to use the term SaaS. Software isn't really a service on its own. At least here at Clinical Mind, people provide that service. So if there's one takeaway from our presentation today, it's this. The winning formula for implementing technology is to have a great platform, the right people, and a great plan. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about that. So let's say you decide to take the plunge and consolidate. You call me up and you say, I really want to simplify my advisory programs or our speaker bureau with a new technology platform. Here's 4.5 key steps that really can help make this experience and the launch a success. So the first, as Bart mentioned, is really getting real about your pain points and your business gaps. Maybe you've had a bad experience with a current system, an old system. Everybody can remember sort of those big pain points, but really let's dig down into the details. Why is that? What caused it? Do you have resource concerns on your team? Let's really start at the beginning with a discovery session and list out the processes that really work for you and what really frustrates you on a day-to-day basis. And not just you, but your teams and all the other constituents that are using the platform that you use. If we can really get a well-rounded feedback from that whole team, it really helps us come up with the best plan that will work for you. So what can be changed at the organization? What can't be changed at the organization? What systems may be in place or data feeds are in place that we need to work around? So I like to tell our team here that our role as a business partner is sort of part strategist, part technologist, but also part therapist, because we really want to be listening to you and asking the right questions and helping you answer them honestly so that you set yourself up for success. So engaging. It's in our name, it's CM Engage, but engaging is really so important to us. Our systems touch so many stakeholders. So starting early to build consensus and create excitement within your organization really pays off in the end. I'll give you a great example. We have a contracting application within CM Go, and early in conversations, we like to create, a really nice slide presentation and schedule time to meet with compliance and your finance teams to talk about how the system works, how those teams gain more control, how it helps make their life easier, and how they can gain more visibility into the process. We've really found that creating that alignment in the beginning and having these tough conversations up front makes things so much more productive and allows those teams to be internal champions up front to help just push the whole process through and make it that much more valuable. And then, like any project, when you sort of get into it, you want to think about what bottlenecks you can predict, right? Step 3 is really to predict those bottlenecks and get ahead of them. Part of this comes from experience. We can weigh in on things that have been issues for other clients, things that have perhaps set them back internally or externally. But it really takes a mindful effort to visualize a rollout and highlight areas where a plan B or a plan C might be really helpful. This puts the project into a proactive rather than a reactive mode. Make launch exciting. Generally, teams are running a mile a minute and spending so much time and energy to make sure everything is right for launch that sometimes teams don't really give a launch its time in the sun. So we really like to make rollout a bit more exciting than a dry 60-minute training session. We like to build a little equity with the team. We like to explain sort of all of the bells and whistles of the system, how it's going to make everyone's life easier, and to share why this project was really an exciting thing to kick off in the first place. And then never stop listening. This one's cheating a little bit, but the listening never stops. There will always be a need to assess, adjust, and be flexible with the product and with your rollout and the launch and over time. So we like to build in time to assess how things are going and make changes if needed. You know, sending the message to you and for your teams that technology is a process and sometimes it takes a little time to perfect. So really putting all of this together, I'm going to have Lisa take over now and just really show you the practical example of how technology plus a little teamwork can simplify a process that can be a real hassle otherwise.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Ricardi. I'm on the client team for CM Engage. So let's talk about speaker and advisor nominations. This is one area where technology can make a huge difference and also make life much easier for teams. So for background, just 12 months ago, our product portfolio had over a dozen standalone applications, and we realized this wasn't sustainable. So we created a completely new cloud-based platform that can combine dozens of functions into one single interface. This platform is CM Go. One of the hallmarks of the platform is how it simplifies and automates team collaboration on complex tasks. The process of nominating speakers or even advisors is one of them. The nomination process has several stakeholders and multiple simultaneous workflows. Despite being a fairly complicated process, we're seeing that this is often managed with email, spreadsheets, manual reports, and sometimes even multiple internal systems. So it's not always a pleasant user experience. Our goal when developing a nomination app for CM Go was to look at the needs of all the stakeholders and understand what piece of the process each owned and what mattered most to them. For example, field representatives want fast access to information and a very fast, simple interface. On the other hand, compliance wants to ensure tight controls and secure data and reporting. So at the core, the nomination portal unifies all of these processes under one roof. So that's program controls and limits, nomination process in the field, approvals flow, analytics and insights, communications, and also reporting. So let's take a look at how this translates into practice. So here you'll see what a marketing program manager might view to create a nomination round. This process was designed to take a quick 3 to 5 minutes and allows for a great deal of flexibility to manage multiple bureaus, set timelines, and establish acceptance criteria, as you're seeing here. So once the round is created, the system automates approval flows and constantly updates information centrally. So you'll always know where your next task is and where the process stands. You can even complete your nomination tasks on the go, as we're seeing the sales manager here doing, since the system is also mobile enabled. The beauty of the platform is that once a round is complete, the information can seamlessly flow downstream into additional tasks, like contracting with speakers, training and certification, meeting planning and tracking, attendee management, and even running virtual events. The platform is naturally flexible too. You can use a mix of modules in the CM Go system or third-party applications that you might already know and love. The key here is that data and information about customers and activities can live in one central place. And then Bart, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. I remember managing nomination with email, spreadsheets, and a CRM system that everybody hated, and I wouldn't want to go back to that. I think I want to summarize by saying that the healthcare marketing mix, it's becoming more complex, and systems that can help simplify what we do to give us more kind of creative headspace are really valuable. I mean, gosh, there's so many amazing ways to engage with our customers right now. And a lot of times the thing that holds us back is having a way to organize it all in the back end to free up that headspace to do those cool things. So kind of this checklist is an internal way to say, look, what are we trying to do? And is it time to try to simplify some of those things on the back end? And then you ask yourself, look, do I want to automate manual processes? Do I want to centralize the data on the people that I interact with, their activities and their content? Can I consolidate systems to reduce complexity? Can I consolidate the number of logins and trainings that I need to do for my team? Can I help the team collaborate more simply and with less friction? Is there room for creativity? Is there room for us to be more flexible and do some interesting things? And is this future-proof? Is there kind of a clear vision for what tomorrow might look like as new channels and innovations come in? And are those things compatible with what we're putting in place? Now, if the answer is yes to some of those things, it's a really good idea to start kind of looking at what's out there. And I'm sure that's what everybody here is doing, and that's why you're here, just to understand what can my life look like if A, B, or C was just easier to do. I promised that we were going to yield back some of your time. So what I'd like to do is take some questions. We did this webinar once before, and we actually collected 1 or 2 questions to start with. So I'm gonna move over to a couple of those. But please, I have the questions open here. Type them in now, and we'll go through those. And Ashley, I'm going to put you on the hot seat if that's okay.
I love when you do that, Bart.
Okay. All right. So when you have systems like this that can manage multiple processes, how do you handle situations when there's an internal system that conflicts with a part of that, or might already be in place to manage a piece of the process? So here comes a system, but we already have a piece of that. How do you handle that?
Right. That's a great question, because it happens frequently. I mean, sometimes we're fortunate enough to work with clients who are just really getting all of their systems in place, and that's wonderful because we can really help from the ground up, get everything built. So data, is running from day one, and there's no lost data, or we're going back trying to find spreadsheets. But for clients who do have certain things in place that they're not able or willing to move, I feel like this is really where our service and really thinking about things from the very beginning comes into play, because service is so important. That discovery session is critical sort of to success here, because we are working around systems like that all the time. We can create, data feeds, APIs, and I can let Lisa talk about just some of the, projects that we've gotten into where we have many of those things that we have to work around. But if we do the discovery right up front and really untangle all of the needs and requirements, then we can build a system where data is flowing seamlessly from systems in-house to us and back that, really make the team's lives easier, but also save a lot of time and a lot of money in the long run. So I'm going to let Lisa just, quickly share a little bit about a couple of clients, or maybe one particular client where we really went in and had quite a bit to untangle.
Yeah, thanks, Ash. So yes, we do have a lot of experience with integrating with feeds and APIs. So one particular client, during that discovery phase, they came to us with a slide that had 15 plus feeds and APIs across multiple vendors and also internal. So it was a big undertaking, but we were able to condense that down into 3. So that being said, we can definitely partner with your internal IT department or any vendor ITs you have and integrate into our CM Go platform. And as Ashley also mentioned, in addition to simplifying the overall process and making everyone's lives easier, it really does save on cost and time year over year.
Yeah, I think there is a myth of the automated API, because I've heard it before. Folks come and say, "Oh, this automatically connects with everything." There's always a smart team behind that to find the most strategic way to do it, and that's definitely been my experience. I have one here that's one of my favorite. I was the person that got phone calls from doctors who were unhappy with a feature or a website. So I love this question. On the adoption side, how are physicians reacting to systems like this?
Yeah, another great question, right? Because at the end of the day, it really, that's what it comes down to, how our users are finding the system and their feedback. And I have to say that for CM Go, the feedback has been very positive. These HCPs are really loving, having one place that they're logging into. For some of our clients who have multiple therapeutic areas, and these speakers are talking for multiple therapeutic areas, there was a time where they had to go to 3 different websites to get the deck for each, therapeutic area, for each topic. They would go there to look at ONO payment. They would go there to, do online training. And now, and I'm giving an example of just within one organization, but for an organization that may have 10 or 12 different therapeutic areas, these HCPs are only needing to bookmark one URL, saving it in their favorites, and then they're going there, year over year to really access the platform as an online communications hub. So whether they're signing their contract or they're getting their slide deck or they're looking at their payment information, it's one central location, and we've built it in a way that it is sort of much more user-friendly and in line with sort of the social media that they're using on a day-to-day basis. So we're just really trying to create a streamlined user experience that sort of works the way they do. And that has really helped us, ensure that they're happy and providing positive feedback to us and to the client.
Now, if you have a question in mind, we've got 2 in the queue, but we could probably take another 2 more. So please, by all means, type them in. I'm seeing them in real time. So here's a question I also like. Where are you seeing pushback against all-in-one type systems like this? Where's that pushback coming from, Ashley and Lisa?
Yeah, I wouldn't really say I'm seeing a ton of pushback. I think sometimes, there are different business units within a client who could be a little nervous or a little scared or afraid that a particular system might step on their toes a little bit or, infringe on things that they've always had the responsibility for handling. And, I think when we come up against that, we really sort of like to treat those concerns with kid gloves because they're very important. And over the years, we've worked with a lot of teams who have, felt that way. And, if we can go in a really consultative approach and talk to them about it, a lot of times we're able to sort of talk through, I think back to that sort of therapist approach, we're able to really talk through where that's coming from or why they feel like they might not want to give it up, or even if they can't give it up, fine, but still how we can help data feed in one way or another, or just the administrative process of managing user information year over year if addresses are changing or affiliations are changing, and it's not somebody updating that in a spreadsheet and that spreadsheet being outdated the next year, or if a team member leaves. So I just think it's back really to that discovery, and sometimes it's even pre-discovery. It's just when you're pitching the system, you're really just sometimes having to do it multiple times to multiple groups so that all the stakeholders understand how they're going to be impacted.
Thanks. This is, I guess, a slightly different topic area, but so at what point, let's be sure I'm reading this right, at what point do off-the-shelf solutions stop working and you need to take a leap into enterprise type systems? What size teams use enterprise systems?
Great question. So we have enterprise clients on the system. We have smaller clients, smaller and mid-sized clients on the system. And I wouldn't say that there's an exact number in terms of size, but I would say it's a little bit more about, complexity. We can run, large bureaus on the system, but sometimes clients have very specific business rules or feeds that we're tapping into, or just structure built into their business that we cannot easily adapt into our system as much as we may try. So that's when we really sort of start to talk about their needs. Again, that discovery session, not to keep drilling on that, but I feel like that discovery session is so critical because we're a lot of times able to determine then if an enterprise level system is necessary and ultimately a better solution to serve their business and set them up for success. So I wouldn't give you an exact number. I have some clients that are more 750, 1,000, users who have enterprise level systems, but I do think, again, it's really just about the inherent systems in place at a client and what we can do and what the willingness is to be able to sort of adapt them perhaps or not. And then that leads to conversations around enterprise.
Thanks. Now, I will probably be able to take one more. So if you're thinking about asking a question, go ahead and pop it in. But I'm going to ask you a question, Ashley. You talked a lot about these discovery sessions, and for everybody on the call to know, like, we don't have a technology sales team at Clinical Mind. The people that do the work make the initial contact and have these conversations. What is that first contact? Like, what are your goals when you speak with somebody that calls and says, look, I might need help or I might need something? Like, what happens on that first connection with you and Lisa and the team?
Yeah, I think that really it's a conversation. Like, we really just sort of ask a lot of questions and we do a lot of listening. We like to really hear like where a client is in this process, what they're looking for, what their immediate needs are, because sometimes even what their budget is. And not that the budget is the driver of a conversation, but it can really help us sort of help them determine what will make the most sense for them in the short term versus the long term. Because the system is modular, we can add on over time. You don't have to buy it all at once up front. If you have one particular pain point, you need to start with something and you've got a small spend, we want to help you get the biggest bang for your buck. So we sort of will start there, and then hopefully it will grow into a long-term relationship where we are always looking to sort of help evolve the business, help evolve operations, and make the teams, life easier. A lot of times we're working with client teams that are pretty small, and we really want to make their day-to-day lives is easy as possible. Lisa, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you said it really well, but yeah, just getting with the client at the beginning and asking them what they're using now, what are their biggest pain points, and just discovering how you can simplify it and make it easier and integrate into the system. And then also, if there's other departments that you're working with, we can also partner with them in order to figure out, what their needs and goals are out of a system as well.
And it looks like there's one more, and I'll put Ashley's email address. You could all bug her. They can light up her email address, her inbox today. I think that would be fun. But the last piece, I think Lisa goes to with that other departments. What happens with digital systems when compliance rules change?
So yeah, when clients' rules change, it's just another conversation, and it kind of goes back to the process of discovery once again. So what's changing, and working with them to make sure that we're drafting the specifications according to what they need and implementing it in our system through a possible enhancement.
Thanks
and
for
I would
that.
just add to that really quickly, if I could. When rules do change, sometimes they're changing very quickly. They're changing sort of across different teams. So it's just really understanding where that rule is going to impact at every point, and then making sure that we pull that into the technology and update it like across, if people are in multiple, that we're updating it across all systems. I mean, I think that's really, where we have excelled a lot over the years, and working with clients closely, knowing their business, we're able to sort of be thinking what we try to think, 3 steps ahead, or 4.5 steps if I'm going to tie it back to my slide. So that's all. I just want to add that in.
Well, that's the perfect callback, and I promise to yield some time back today. This has been a lot of fun. Thinking about these things it's our every day, and we're excited to see the industry changing and exciting to see the way that we engage with customers evolving. We hope to keep this dialogue going and appreciate all those that have come on today. Thanks again, and Dan, thanks for hosting us. We really appreciate that.